What's your first day of Jiu Jitsu like? I want to talk about that in this video, and I'm going to be speaking directly from recent experience. Stick around. I've engaged in a lot of various stand-up arts in my time of trying to learn how to fight throughout my lifetime. But one area that I had neglected for the most part was education with regards to grappling. I only had an introduction to grappling with regards to certain submissions for self-defense, but I never actually went and did jiu-jitsu until a few weeks back. Anybody who's realistic about martial arts and who has kept up with combat sports knows that jiu-jitsu is a very elite art form. It's such an elite art form that people who are insecure about it will make certain statements like, jiu-jitsu's worthless for the street, jiu-jitsu's worthless for this and that. And they know not what they say. And I say this with all humility. I don't say it with any arrogance like a lot of the influencers out here would do. But if you haven't ever trained in jiu-jitsu, if you've never walked in day one and trained with jiu-jitsu practitioners, you have no idea. And I mean that. You have no idea. I had no idea. I believe jiu-jitsu is one major piece to the puzzle. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all, but it's one major piece of the puzzle. Every time people think about jiu-jitsu in the streets, they think about a situation where it's a guy one-on-one and then his friends are kicking him in the head. Okay, it doesn't always go down like that. I've seen many situations where people have used jiu-jitsu to subdue people that got out of control in a public situation. I've seen plenty of videos where jiu-jitsu was used effectively in the streets. We need to eliminate the blanket statements to make ourselves feel better about not training in jiu-jitsu. There's a time and a place for everything. Sometimes it's not the time or it's not the place, but that's no excuse to eliminate a very necessary ingredient when it comes to being well-rounded as a fighter. And the only way to really know how dominant this martial art is to find yourself entangled with someone who does jiu-jitsu or has been doing it for a while. Whether they're big or small, if they're skilled in jiu-jitsu, they are going to feel like immovable concrete to you. The first thing I believe anybody will learn on their first day of jiu-jitsu, myself included, is that you're not as tough as you thought you were. If you don't know any jiu-jitsu and you get entangled with someone who does, they don't even have to submit you. They will control your body so long that you will wear yourself out and you can't even breathe. I know what people are thinking. Well, out on the streets, people can just bite and eye gouge. Not as easy as you think. First of all, the jiu-jitsu practitioner can bite and eye gouge as well. And besides, it's not very easy to bite somebody who's controlling every part of you. It's a very powerless and helpless feeling to be on the ground with somebody in that element rolling for 60 seconds and you're done and you're trapped and you're just spent, and all you can do is say, okay, I'm done. Muscles and strength and power, I'm all for it, but please don't fall into the trap of thinking that that's going to save you in and of itself, because you'll find out real quick that you can have all this strength and all this power, and then somebody who's 50 pounds lighter than you, who's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, just shuts it all down. Saw a video recently of a situation where a guy who knew jiu-jitsu had to take down this guy who was assaulting his girlfriend. He simply took him down, got his back, had his legs wrapped around him. The guy could do absolutely nothing. He was begging to be let go. He was begging, saying, I can't breathe, please let me go. And the guy was holding on to him, saying, just relax, you can breathe. But the guy could go nowhere. The guy could do nothing. Another thing I learned very quickly is that learning jiu-jitsu is so much more than just learning a few good submissions. All you have to do is roll with somebody one time, and the following week you'll be scratching and clawing for knowledge on how to just simply reserve your energy, stay in the fight, and be able to escape or gain the dominant positions. You're not even worried about submissions yet. You need to be able to get this other foundation built. Let me give you a real life example of this. If you're on the street and you're having to grapple with someone for a while and they have no jiu-jitsu whatsoever, they don't know anything about it, you probably won't even have to pull off some fancy submission to make them quit. You will wear them out just by your ability to control them and keep them trapped. The coaches that are working with me in jiu-jitsu are doing just this. They're teaching me how to escape, how to get in the dominant position. We've been working on this for several weeks, and it starts to click more and more over time, but you have to build that foundation. If you think you're just going to go into jiu-jitsu and start submitting people, it's not going to happen. You're not going to submit anybody who has jiu-jitsu experience. You have to learn that foundation first, the foundation of escapes and all of that. The next hard lesson that is learned is the type of conditioning that you need for jiu-jitsu. Your body will be put in positions that you've never been in before, and that even goes for you if you're a wrestler. This doesn't mean that all jiu-jitsu practitioners are in perfect condition, they have perfect bodies, but it's that they have trained and conditioned themselves for that activities. It takes jiu-jitsu to develop jiu-jitsu conditioning. You just have to do it. This next tough lesson applies to any kind of grappling art, whether it's judo, whether it's wrestling, or whether it is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And that is the fact that fighting is extremely physical. I think a lot of people have these fantasies in their mind of getting the job done quick every time, and that's just not reality. Fighting is chaotic and it's physical, and there is so much conditioning that goes into fight training, whether you're striking or whether you're in some form of grappling. But you are reminded as to how physical this is, and it is a wake-up call to the necessity of cardio, conditioning, and testing. We jokingly use terms like bullshido martial arts to shine a light on martial arts that really don't prepare you. Bullshido martial art can come in any form, but I think to define it, it's to simply say martial arts training that doesn't really prepare you for the physical realities of the fight. It's all fantasy-based stuff. Now let's get to the fun stuff. You'll see people in jiu-jitsu of all ages, shapes, and sizes, man. You don't have to be this perfectly fit person, or you don't have to be extremely young to get into jiu-jitsu. You just need to start. You see people well up in age in there, people that are in their 60s that can crush you. There are guys where I train that started in their late 40s, some in their early 50s. They've got blue belts, some have purple belts, and they're just moving on up, man. And they didn't let their age stop them. So it's not too late to get into jiu-jitsu. If you've got mobility, you can train jiu-jitsu. I agree with Jocko Willink. You know, some of you know who he is, the Navy SEAL, podcaster, jiu-jitsu black belt. He says he believes jiu-jitsu is a superpower. I definitely believe it's a superpower. I believe it's a cheat code in the world of martial arts, if you know it. You'll walk into jiu-jitsu with that nervousness at times. You know, you don't know what to expect, what you're going to go through, what you're going to have to learn, but you feel so good when you leave. It is such a rush to complete every class you go through. You may feel tired and beat up, but it's a good tired, it's a good beat up. Now, I'm obviously not talking about sustaining a major injury, but it's just you leave tired, you leave drained, and it is a good feeling. Jocko, the guy I just referenced, also made a statement one time about how he feels like the white belt in some ways is the hardest belt to attain in jiu-jitsu, because it takes a whole lot of guts to put on that white belt and to go into jiu-jitsu for the first time and face all these reality checks and have all these awakenings about where your skill set is really at in this area and how much you can really take in a pressure situation. They say you should always do things in life that scare you a little bit. And for me, that was jiu-jitsu. This was the martial arts mountain I had yet to climb. I've been knowing for years that I needed to. I finally took the plunge. Now I'm so excited about being there, and I'm learning from so many great people, and it feels so good to just be involved in that community and growing. Jiu-jitsu has humbled me in so many ways. It's been a very humbling experience. But the thing about jiu-jitsu is that it'll tear you down in the beginning, but it'll build you up, and it is an incredible feeling. And this is my own testimony regarding being new to jiu-jitsu and sharing firsthand some realities you're going to run into if you decide to take this journey. But I am encouraging you to do so. Thanks for watching. Take care.